we are going to look at how to, let me move this really quick. Does it move? No. We're going to look at how to make a player that moves in our game. So we have our world scene here, and we want to now have a player that operates in our world. To do that, we really need two things. The first thing that we need is the player. The second thing that we need is a floor for our player to walk on so that they don't fall to their death. To do that, we are going to put on to our world scene what we need to start with. And we're going to add a child node. So if you two-finger click, you're going to see this Add Child Node button here. And there's many different kinds of nodes that we could add here. We've got to think, what's the best one for our player? Well, the best one for our player is going to be a character body 2D. So we can type in character, and we'll get the character body 2D. And it tells us that, then again, a character body 2D is going to be useful for scripting. We are going to rename this as player. So that's what it is. So we're just going to rename it for that. And as soon as we do this, we are going to save it into somewhere. So we're going to go back. We're in our scenes folder here. So again, if we go back to the very beginning, we've got scenes, click in, two-finger click, and we're going to add player, lowercase player. And we're going to save our player into our player scene. So again, here we have scenes, player, and then we've got our player over here. So what does this mean? Well, it means that this guy here is just going to take on all the properties of this scene. So in this way of thinking, we have on our world things that we can add, but we don't really want to just make things in our world because then we'd have to remake them again. Actually, we want things to exist on their own. So an important thing about game development is that we want everything to be independent. We don't want our player to need the world to exist. We just want our player to exist in the world. So this is how Godot works. We just kind of make a player and we put him somewhere. We're going to make a floor. We're going to put it somewhere. But we want to make sure that that thing is saved somewhere that we can pull it more copies out of it later. So, but here's our actual scene. It's called the TSCN. It's the player. And we need to make our player scene here. So here's how we're going to do that. It actually tells us what we need. If we read it carefully, it says it has no shape, so it can't collide or interact with objects. So we need a collision shape 2D. So we know what to add already. We're going to two-finger click, and we're going to add a child node, and we need a collision shape 2D. This is what gives shape to our player. So again, if we zoom in here, we'll see that now we have this thing here. And this is the shape that our player takes. We could be done, but we can't really see anything very interesting yet. So the next thing that it makes the most sense to add to our player is going to be something that lets us see what our player is. And that's called a sprite. So we're going to two-finger click, add a child node here, and we're going to add a sprite 2D. This is just a simple little node that takes a texture, which luckily Godot has given us one, so we don't have to import anything. And we can just drag right into here, ta-da, our little Godot guy. I'm going to put the sprite above the collision shape so that we can see the collision shape. And then we want to match so they're about the same size. There you go. Ta-da. So now what our player is made up of is two things. Our player is made up of a sprite, and our player is made up of a collision shape. These two things are working together to give us both what it looks like and what the game sees as the shape of the object. There's only one more thing we need, which is an important thing, which is the script that actually moves this thing. Now, luckily, Godot is just going to give us that for free. So that's really nice. So we're going to do a two-finger click and use attach script. And it's going to give us a basic movement script for our player. So we don't have to do any coding right now. We're just going to use the basic movement script and hit create. And we're going to go through this in the next video and explain what everything is. But here's the script, and this is just going to work for us. So we're going to save that. We're going to go back into the world, and we're going to see that now we have our guy right here. Pretty cool. So we can move him by hitting the W button or by clicking here. And we can put him in the middle of our camera. You might notice this little blue box here. This is our camera space here. And if we hit the play button, and we want to select current because we want our world to be the one that's going to run. We're going to see that our player, ta-da, he falls to his death, which is bad. So we need to give him a floor to stand on. So think with me real quick. I'll take a little, you can take a pause on the video, but we need something that will stop our player from falling. Why don't you try to figure it out yourself? Can you figure out what you need to add to our world scene so that our player won't just fall, but will actually stop, and then we can control him? I'll wait 5 seconds, and then I'll show you how I would do it. Okay, so here's how I would do this. We need to figure out what kind of node is the best kind for this. And we're going to add it directly into our world scene here. So we're going to do add child node. And there's many kinds of nodes that can work for this, but I think the best one is going to be a static body 2D. Again, a static body 2D is a physics body that can't be moved by outside forces. So basically, it's like a floor or a wall. Our players can interact with it, but it's not going to affect the wall. So if we added another character body, it could potentially bounce off each other, these kind of things. We're going to rename this as floor with a capital F, and we are going to save it into its own little place. So we can add more floors in the future and save floor. So let's go to our floor here, and we are going to give it what it says it needs. It needs the same thing. It needs a shape so that the game actually knows where the floor is. Collision shape 2D. And I think the best shape here is probably just going to be a rectangle shape. So we zoom in and we can give it a nice little rectangle shape. Let's make it pretty long. Let's make it maybe the size of our, yeah, there we go. About the size of our window here. And that's good for now. Then back on our world scene, we see our floor is here. We can now move our floor below our player. And we're not going to see the floor because it doesn't have a sprite right now, but that's okay. And if we hit the play button, we are going to see that our player falls and lands on our floor. And then we can move him. We can hit space. We can move around with the left and right buttons. And at this point, we pretty much have a good start to a game. We have our world scene where everything exists in. We have our player that's moving, and we can see it with the sprite. And we have the floor, and we have the collision shape that are interacting to stop our player from actually falling. So I think you can already imagine where we could go from here. We could make a lot of things from here. But this is a great place to start. And if you've watched this video, you're pretty much already set up to begin a pretty cool little platformer game. All right, I'll see you in the next video where we're going to go over the actual magic of this whole thing, which is that script that we made. We'll actually talk about what makes all these things work. But if you've gotten this far, you've really gotten through the very beginning of how to make a game and all of these things. So good job and keep going.